Hi guys, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And welcome to episode 32.
Yeah.
We're trying to do like a sort of festive but New Year's look. I don't know why we both associated New Year's with black.
Is crazy.
Whatever. We did little bit of eyeliner for y'all. So all right, we hope everyone had a wonderful and safe and, just fulfilling, I guess, New Year as well.
Yeah.
And the whole holiday season has been great so far. It's about coming to an end. Whoever thought year of return would actually come and go is over. It's time to get back to the reality of things. So anyway. Yeah. All right, so I guess we'll just jump right in.
So
all right.
Right into the news. So I was scouring the internet for some newsworthy items, and I stumbled upon a so-called miracle food tree against hunger, wonder crop. So I decided to look into it, and this crop is called Enset. And the domesticated strain of Enset is native to the Ethiopian highlands. Now, Enset provides food for about approximately 20 million Ethiopians, but the wild strain also grows in Eastern and Southern Africa. Now, Enset looks like a banana plant, is harvested like a root vegetable, and tastes like flatbread. It has an orange fruit that cannot be eaten. It has black seeds inside, but it's not edible, unlike banana. What makes Enset so attractive is that it can be planted anytime and it can be harvested at any time of the year. So that's pretty good, and it's drought resilient and resistant. Now, what makes Enset also really amazing is that it can be used for several things. It can be used for furniture, it can be used for ropes, it can be used for plates, but most commonly it's used for a type of fruit called petrol. Now, the challenge for researchers is that they're trying to figure out how they can grow the plant elsewhere, because, like I said, it's particular to the Ethiopian highlands and grows only there.
Oh, I see.
So people are trying to figure out how they can grow it elsewhere to sort of feed the world, isn't it? Now, interestingly, it's in the 70s or the 80s, many farmers survived the famine because they grew Enset. So that was something that helped them. And obviously, there's a lot of work to do with regard to Enset, with regard to how they can expand the growth and all that. But the FAO reports that it provides more amount of foodstuffs per unit area than most cereals. So that's pretty good. So all in all, it's a pretty good thing, right?
Yes.
The one thing I do worry about once I finished reading this was how these all the cereals and grains tend to be hyped as superfoods. So you've got
quinoa.
You've got your avocado.
Even baobab these days, they're saying it's a superfood.
It's insane. Your ginger, your green tea. She said your
coconut
quinoa,
oil was a thing people were putting in tea.
It's insane. And the thing is, human beings have been consuming these things for years. But once the Western world or America discovers it, they hype it. It's a marketing hype.
Rebranding.
Exactly, into superfoods. And I'm not against people trying new things, but then once you take it and then you hype it so much, it just becomes unnecessary. I remember many years back, I love avocados. Peaches doesn't. She hates avocados. And we were eating avocados way before it even became a thing. It wasn't anything special. You knew it was healthy. You put it on your bread, you ate it, and it was delicious.
And demonic actions.
And I just feel that a lot of these things are just overhyped. Contomere is probably as healthy as kale is, right? But then just because it's kale and it's superfood, it becomes a big thing. The thing is that also consumers and farmers have to pay the price of all these marketing gimmicks, right? The prices go up.
Pushed up.
It's just unnecessary. And for example, avocados. 4 of Mexico's cartels are fighting over control of avocados.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So what happens is that these cartels charge a monthly protection payment from various producers, calculated by the hectare cultivated or kilogram exported, and if you fail to make these payments, they either kidnap you or you get killed.
That is ridiculous.
So it's become a criminal thing.
So it's not just cocaine. Now
No,
avocados is
that's
like...
the thing.
Oh
and
my
it's horrible.
And it's all because these damn hippies, hipsters or whatever, want to have avocado-only restaurants or whatever.
Yes, exactly. So the demand for avocado is so insane that people are pressured to keep up with the demands. And then this is the kind of thing that happens. And I can imagine it happens elsewhere.
There was other things.
Yes, of other things. I remember seeing a documentary on goji berries. There was something that
Another
was on there. Yeah,
superfood than acai berry or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. That as well. You know, just it's crazy. Like I said, a lot of superfoods are just marketing hypes. You can eat these things. Nobody's saying they don't have any nutritional value, but overhyping them is definitely no good for the environment. Definitely no good for your pockets. So let's bring it down. A lot of the foods that we already consume are superfoods as well. You know, you can just eat that and occasionally eat the others. Also, some of these things are pretty expensive. You don't want to put a hole in your pocket at the expense of, because it's superfood.
I know.
Right? Just eat what you eat. And I always say this: eat what you want to in moderation. Don't overdo things. It's not necessary. Eat what you want to eat, and that's it. So that's how I went from Enset to superfoods and the whole thing.
Yes, that's great. That's really
something
great.
to think about.
It is, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so my in the news is rather disturbing. And it's out of Nigeria, where a priest caused a massive explosion which killed 6 people, including 2 children. So apparently he was doing a healing / deliverance / prayer ceremony or something, and he doused one of the worshippers with what he thought was holy water, but was actually petrol.
Oh no.
So, and there were candles lit in the place, and then the candle caused a spark which set fire to him, to the person he was doing his deliverance / healing on, and the entire church as well.
Terrible.
And to make matters even worse, the church fire then spread to nearby oil pipelines, which then caught fire and caused an enormous explosion in the area. So it turns out that the reason the oil pipelines exploded so easily is that they were already leaking due to having been vandalized by petrol thieves who tap into the lines. Like, they literally puncture holes they dig it up, puncture holes in there, and then siphon off the fuel to sell. And so the pipes were already leaking, and they had, and which is a serious problem in Nigeria. People sabotaging pipelines, either in protest, which is like, in the Port Harcourt area, because they're protesting the fact that, the areas where, oil is being produced and refined are ridiculously underdeveloped. The people in the area are poor, and they feel like they're being exploited, so they intentionally damage the pipelines, or they just basically steal the fuel to go and resell. So this pipeline in particular happened to be leaking at the worst possible time, and then it caused a huge fire. And some reports said that the pipelines had been leaking into a nearby river. So, because I was wondering how it would be possible for a pastor to confuse water and petrol. First of all, petrol has quite a pungent smell. Very pungent. It's hard to miss, as you know. But then I'm thinking, okay, if they're in an area where they're used to smelling petrol because of damaged pipelines, and assuming he went and fetched this holy water from the river,
you're right.
Not realizing that it was filled with petrol, or the water had been contaminated with petrol or something like that, and that's how he ended up using this petrol on a worshipper, thinking that it was holy water. But first of all, the whole situation is just, I don't even know where to begin. It's so sad. It's such an unnecessary... I was going to say, it's so unnecessary. It didn't have to be that way. It didn't have to be that way. In the name of holy water. In the name of, yes. So, of course, after the fact, that's when disaster relief people come in and start talking lots and lots and lots. And that's what we do best. Talk. Yes, so on and so forth. Always talk, and the people are still dead. people's property has still been destroyed, things like that. But then it did remind me of a story that one of our studio boys had told me, Black Mula, about how he had kind of at that time sort of teamed up with some type of charlatan evangelist who would inject bottles of water with some kind of flammant, right? And then so he'd have people gather around and he would perform miracles that involve him setting fire on water, and of course it's coming out of a sealed bottle. He's like, look, this is just regular water. Watch me work or whatever. So I was like, I'm hoping that it's not a similar situation where this is one of those people just trying to do theatrics, which is why he's expecting the water to have a strong smell because he put something in it. I'm hoping, that it's just that he got water from a contaminated source. But regardless, I don't know. I don't even know. Is there a moral to this story? No. It's just a waste of life and a tragedy that could be avoided. But I guess it's emblematic, if that's the word to use, of the layers of issues that are happening in some of the countries. One, we have pastors or charismatic leaders doing the absolute most for no reason. We have
but the thing is, they also do the most because they know what their congregation expects from them. Their congregation is expecting
they want you to put on a show.
So they're giving it to them. They're giving it to them. It's a pity, really. We can't use our common sense. You feel you need to have holy water for whatever reason.
Yes. Or holy oil, or holy sand, or holy Milo.
Why?
I just read some pastor went and bathed in some water, and then
I saw the video, and people were drinking.
There was a video. I just read it.
I saw it.
God,
it's so disgusting. And then my mom was like, "What about if the guy had peed in the water?" I said, "Well, then they're drinking his pee."
And like fecal matter for that, and then when you get cholera, you say it's a witch. Yeah. Look, I feel like we just need to do better. I think that's the only thing I can say. There's so many areas where we're just dropping the ball constantly. And, people are just dying like chickens. Like, honestly, life has almost zero value. Like, people just die. We didn't have a bed. We couldn't get there. There was no water in the fire truck. So,
end of story. Yeah, that's it.
Is what you want us to do. Your jobs, maybe. So anyway, I just... don't let people just splash you with stuff, for one thing. Maybe that's the immediate lesson to learn here. All these funny 2x4 pastors rubbing you with things and stuff. Maybe let's cut back on that, Anyway, so that's the news.
No, that's unfortunate, really.
Yeah.
Thanks for that one. Okay, then we're on to songs of the week. I've got 3 songs for you today. The first one is Account Balance by the Fokn Bois. I hope I can say that. I don't know.
Well, that's probably get demonetized, but okay. It is what it is. Yeah. That's their name.
That's their name. So they comprise of One Love, the Kubolo, and Mensansa. Both have made music individually, and then they've come together also to make some music. I know they say a lot of things that we don't say, or we can't say sometimes, and they do that boldly. Pretty well, boldly without apologies, right? I think they're both brilliant artists. The first time I heard the song, I actually saw the video as well, and I thought it was pretty clever. There's a nice beat to it. It's pretty funny as well. I thought it was a brilliant song. So that is, and the song is off the album Afrobeats LOL. So that's Account Balance. And the second song that I have for you is,
which I think that's the latest album.
That's the most recent one. Yeah. The second song that I have for you is from Durand Jones and the Indications.
Hey.
And
here she comes.
And the song is called Don't You Know. Now, Durand Jones and Indications are 5 friends who went to Indiana University in 2012, and their debut album apparently was recorded for $452 and a case of beer. So what you immediately hear from the entire album actually is sort of the soul. So if you're like me and you like the Temptations and the Delphonics and the Stylistics and the Whispers and all those people, then you will like Durand and Indications. The second thing that surprised me quite a bit was I was expecting an older black group, and they're made of I think mostly Caucasian. I think there's one black guy or two black guys in there, and I was quite surprised. I didn't expect.
Should we have the appropriation discussion today or some other time?
I don't know. I was surprised.
I think music is not one of the things we should subject to. Like, I feel like it can be participation, appreciation, and not exploitation, if you will. So.
Right. I wasn't expecting that.
Let white people make soul music. If it's good, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So I assumed that it was a black group. It wasn't beautiful music. I didn't want to pick a song, but because it's Songs of the Week, I had to. But I would say go listen to the album. The album is called American Love Call. So that's a beautiful one. The song is Don't You Know, Durand Jones and Indications.
Okay.
And the third song that I have for you is from Show Them Camp. And the song is called Different Case featuring BOJ. So I mentioned Show Them Camp in a previous episode as them being part of the collective. So they're a rap duo called Tech, called Wale Davis and Ghost Olumide Ayeni. They were born in Nigeria, but they lived abroad for a while, and then now they're back to Lagos making music. Now, they sort of embrace palm wine music. And if you don't know, palm wine music originally is evolved from the Kru people of Liberia. And they used Portuguese guitars mixed with their own tunes and Trinidadian calypso to sort of form what is now called palm wine music. And it was mainly developed in the early 20th century.
So just to interrupt, if for those in Ghana who are familiar with Ghanaian music styles, I think one of the people who is most known for palm wine music would be Eja Konimo.
Exactly, I have that here.
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
No worries. no worries. Yeah, so like I said, it developed mainly in the 20th century, mainly Anglophone West Africa. Like she said, Konimo is pretty known for that in Ghana. In Sierra Leone, Ebenezer Calendar. So so Show Them Camp, they sort of do this palm wine, or their music is based heavily or influenced by palm wine music. The song is a beautiful one. Like I said, features BOJ. We've talked about BOJ here as well. He's got a very unique voice. When you hear him, you know it's BOJ, exactly. So that's also a pretty good song. There were two songs I wanted to choose from. There was this one, and then there was one featuring Fumbi and Nonso Amadi. I was like, we've talked about Fumbi so much. People are going to get tired of me. So let me choose this one. This is okay. Let's go with Different Case. So that was that. So I've got three songs for you. Account, Balance, Fokn Bois, Durand Jones and Indications, Don't You Know, and then Show Them Camp, Different Case.
Wonderful. Okay, so I obviously also have 3 songs, and because it's New Year's, we're still kind of in the party mode, I decided to pick 3 songs that I would typically play when I'm trying to vim myself up, ginger myself up, maybe when I'm putting my makeup on, ready to go out. And so these are 3 like very upbeat songs. So the first one is by a group called LSD. And it's called No New Friends. Now, LSD is a supergroup that was formed in 2018, and each of the initials in the group name references one of the group members. So the L in there refers to Labyrinth, who is a British songwriter, rapper, producer, who I've talked about on here, featured a couple of his songs. I'm absolutely obsessed with him. I think he's a genius. So he's the L in the name. The S in the name refers to Sia, who I feel like does not need to be introduced.
No.
Most of your favorite pop songs she either wrote or sang herself, And the D is Diplo. So Diplo is obviously known mostly for his work with MIA and also Major Lazer, who are here now. They'll probably be gone by the time this comes out, but they're actually in Ghana. They had a show a few days ago. So so LSD, so they formed in 2018 and they released their first collaboration album in 2019, and it's called Labyrinth, Sia and Diplo Present LSD. And this is one of the singles off the album. The whole album really is just joyous. It's just upbeat, pleasant, joyous. It makes you happy. And this is one of the songs I really love off of there. So check that out, LSD, No New Friends. The second song here I have is by Joey B. And it features both Sarkodie and Kwesi Arthur, and it's called La Familia. Now, again, I don't feel like I need to talk too much about anybody featured here. Joey, Sarkodie, no introductions needed. Kwesi Arthur as well, probably yes. And why I picked it, one is the beat is so fire. It's by Ultra Nova. Hey Nova. And 2 out of the 3 artists on here are from Tema, so TM in the building. And to me it represents like the essence of contemporary Ghanaian hip hop, right? And I really love that about it. I've always been a fan of Joey B. He came out in 2013. I think the first song of his that I remember is Strawberry Ginger. Okay. And I was like, okay, that's cute, that's funny, or whatever it is. But then he also released a song called Cigarette. And I was like, okay, there's more, there's artistry here. There's artistry here. And I've followed him ever since. And this is just really a nice little turn up song. Got some trap elements in it. And it's really bomb. So that's my second song, La Familia by Joey B featuring Sarkodie and Kwesi Arthur. And the last song I have for you is a song that has basically taken over, at least on the African continent. It's gone viral and is by BigTril. And it's called Party After Party or Pate After Pate.
That's where that's from.
Yes. So BigTril is actually a Ugandan artist. And he's a rapper, producer, and his name is Roland Kaiza. And he's 29 years old. And this has actually been his breakout single, even though he's been kind of kicking about in the industry for a while. This has been the major song that he's done, the one he's most known for, and it came out, I think September-ish, something like that. And he performed it at the Nyege Nyege Festival, which is like one of the major African music festivals that happens to take place in Uganda. And the song took off from there, and it's like, I'm sure you've heard it a lot this season. And so that's my third song. So my 3 songs are No New Friends by LSD, La Familia by Joey B featuring Kwesi Arthur and Sarkodie, and Pate After Pate by BigTril.
Nice one. Beautiful.
Okay.
And with that, moving straight on to What the F. So imagine you go spend your birthday with your friend, and at the end of the day or the end of the night, you end up in a hospital.
Oh.
Now this is what happened to a woman who was celebrating her birthday. She never expected that this would happen, but it did. So she was having a drink with a friend, and she saw a waiter do something fancy by somebody's table, and was kind of like, yeah, she also wants that. So the waiter came to their table, poured something in her drink. She saw the vapor and all that, and then she started to feel very, very ill. So the waiter had added liquid nitrogen to their water. Now, liquid nitrogen is not to be played with, and is generally used for removal of warts or coolants in computers. It has a boiling point of minus 196 degrees Celsius. Now, recently, liquid nitrogen has been used in the food industry as well for quickly freezing food or drinks. And you've probably seen it in if you like watching cooking shows, you've seen some of it, the fancy gimmicky thing, you see the smoke and all that, But liquid nitrogen is not as harmless as you may think. It's tasteless, odorless, and colorless. So if you're in a confined area without aeration, it can cause asphyxiation. For food, especially, it's important that the liquid evaporates before you ingest it. And for this woman, this is exactly what did not happen. She had a sip, and then went straight into the emergency room, had to have her gallbladder removed.
Oh my God.
And had her stomach lining removed as well.
Oh my goodness.
Her stomach was frozen, and the dead tissue had to be scraped off.
Oh God.
So initially when they took her in, they thought it was just her stomach, and then they later realized that it was her gallbladder as well. It was just kaput. Too late. So she, of course, has filed a lawsuit against the restaurant for, I think, more than $15,000 in damages. But again, this just shows a lot of these things are just gimmicky. They don't really
not necessary.
They don't add anything
doing
to
the
your
mostest
life.
Again, for no reason.
And the thing, you think that the waiter who is doing this has been, I mean, you basically put your life in his hands, because you'd assume that he
playing
knows
around with liquid nitrogen like he's a, does chemistry or something.
You'd assume he knows what he's doing, but he probably doesn't. He's just doing what he's seen somebody else do. And now you've got to have your gallbladder removed and your stomach lining.
I would be suing for much more than 15,000. I tell you what. Anyway,
she could have died. She could have died. I mean, if her esophagus had gotten, she could have died, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's terrible. And that's my what the F. It's really gimmicks that are not necessary.
And drinking funny things. A lot of us like to do that. So you know who you are. Some concoction, you don't know what it is. You're like, I'll drink it.
Drink it, yeah. Or something just because it's got some herbs and it's healthy. So let me drink it. Stop it. It's not necessary. Drink your water and go.
Thank you.
So that's my what the F.
That's good. A good one. Okay, so my what the F is thankfully quite lighthearted.
Nice.
I realize that since we've started all our what the F's,
I've been happy, but
it's been so depressing. And so this one is much more lighthearted. And ironically, it involved me looking up nitrogen as well.
Look at that.
So let me get to it. So we're back again in Uganda, where a gentleman by the name of Joe Mwarirama, something like that, says that he is getting millions from 2 chemical companies to allow them to study him. And so you're like, why you ask? Why would a pharmaceutical chemical company pay a man millions of dollars to subject him to tests? Well, according to Joe, he is famous for having farts that are so effective and deadly that they can kill mosquitoes.
I saw that.
Or any small flying insects within a 6-meter radius.
Oh my goodness.
So again, according to Joe, even as a small child, he became, shall we say, infamous for his unique abilities. To the extent that the local chief would make him come and live in his home during every sort of rainy season / malaria season. And according to Joe, nobody that ever lives around him gets sick.
Oh my God.
And so, now, so after I finished laughing my ass off, the next thing I did was think to myself, okay, what is the chemical constitution of human farts? And it turns out it's mostly nitrogen. It's got some carbon dioxide in there and a little bit of methane, unlike cows, which are mostly methane. So again, nitrogen is inert. It's an inert gas. It is, again, odorless, whatever. However, that is its, I guess, deceptive effect that you can die from nitrogen poisoning or whatever without ever knowing, because it will simply replace the oxygen in your lungs anyway. So nitrogen can't kill insects for one thing. And so I was like, And the second thing that made me somewhat suspicious of this story is that he said he was getting millions. I'm like, in what currency, sir? Definitely not dollars. And even if it's something equivalent to the value of a CD, who is really going to give you anything more than some 1,000? So I was like, this story is probably fake, even though it did appear on quite a few news outlets.
I saw it. Yeah, I did.
But I was like, it's too funny to resist sharing with all y'all. And hey, it might turn out that we do have, here's the thing though, if we do have mutants, I'm thinking X-Men, okay, why can't it be invisibility? Your superpower is ability to kill insects with flatulence. Well, sure, I guess. They're not putting you in the X-Men with that talent, but okay. Anyway, so that's my little what the F for the week.
That's a good one. All right. So then we're on to 2 pesos. My 2 pesos today is nothing heavy. It's just on travel and see. So I like discovering new places. It's just really, the change of environment is nice, right? And one of the things that I do when I go to a new place is either look out for the kind of food they have or the architecture. Those are the 2 things that really fascinate me. I was in Takrady earlier this year in January. Last year, January. We're in 2020 now. And I've always wanted to go, not for any particular reason, but just because I really haven't seen a lot of Ghana. I want to see places. So I was in Takoradi. I went there. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe I was expecting more. But it was still a really nice experience, right? Just away from Accra, crowded, really nice. The thing you realize is that when you go, before you go somewhere, you have a perception of a place, of how it's going to be like. And then you get there and you're sort of like, actually, it's not how I thought it would be, but it's still
fine,
nice.
Right.
Right. So that's that. Takoradi, a nice little town. You should go visit. Then in February of last year, March, I was in Vegas. And
Eddie is balling, y'all.
I'm not. I just have good friends. And again, I had this perception of Vegas, all these flashy lights and everything. So on my way to the museum, I was shocked to find that there were homeless people in Vegas. I don't know why I was shocked, because homeless people are literally everywhere, right? But I wasn't expecting that. And then I was asking the lady in the Uber, that there are homeless people in Vegas. She was like, yeah, this is nothing new. They've been there for a while. Nobody really takes care of them. And then I was saying that, well, it's so cold. And it was funny because in over I think 20 years or something, it hadn't snowed in Vegas, and at that time it was snowing. And she said, yeah, this is what they do. They live in their tents. They have to live there. That's what it is. Again, you have these perceptions of casinos and glitz and flashing, and then you go see them and you're like, well, it's really
depressing.
And it's like in every other place. It's just like seeing the nice sides of somewhere and then not thinking that there are other sides to it, right? Crazy. And then at some point I was in LA as well, and there all I remember is the food. If you're in downtown LA, please go to Dine Little Sister. Their food is amazing. I just can't stop thinking about the food.
It's called Dine Little Sister?
No, Dine Little Sister.
Dine. Okay, I was like, what kind of edgy?
No. And I guess it's sort of like Vietnamese fusion.
Ooh,
it's amazing.
God.
Amazing. And the one thing that I do when I come back from my travels, wherever it is, I go to TripAdvisor and I add reviews. It's one of the things I like to do. I know it may be a bit weird, but I like to do that.
I will TripAdvisor the hell out of you, especially if it's not good. I'm like,
yeah, because sometimes you go somewhere, you want to get an idea of how the place is like. Someone might have had just one bad experience and it's supposed that for you, but then seeing other people's experiences and then that being mostly positive, you're like, okay, maybe this place is worth
maybe I have
going
to try,
Yes. And like I said, we have misconceptions about places, but more often than not, we're pleasantly surprised by the people we meet, by the things we see, right? So all I'm saying is my 2 pesos is make time to go visit new places. If you're in Ghana and maybe you don't have money to go abroad, it's enough to tour Ghana. I've never been to Ho, I've never been to Tamale. These are things I want to do. I mean, getting a visa can be such a hassle for many people. So not necessarily go spend so many thousands of cedis to get a visa and then go out of the country. You can do it within your country. You can save up. You can go to the next time, just explore. And I tell you that you'll come back feeling so refreshed. It makes such a difference.
It does.
The scenery just gives you peace of mind. You come back refreshed. Take some time out to travel and see the world.
Lovely.
So that's what I want to say.
All right, so my 2 pesos is actually going to somewhat tie into what Eddie has said. And I know. And so my 2 pesos this week is on New Year's resolution hacks.
Ooh.
So obviously, because we're in a new year, and there are certain things that, kind of become New Year traditions. For some people, it's going to church and counting down in church. Others, it's fireworks. For some people, it's champagne. And one of the things that has become a bit of a tradition every New Year is people make New Year's resolutions.
Right.
However, for a lot of us, myself included, by the time Easter rolls around, you don't even know where the paper on which you wrote the resolutions are, much less be following them to the T still. So what I have for you today is some hacks for New Year's resolutions, some workarounds, some ways to make it so that you'll be more likely to see these resolutions through. So I'm going to give you 5 hacks for your New Year resolution.
Nice.
So number 1, instead of specificity, go for a theme. So instead of saying something like, I'm going to read 500 books in a year, you can build your resolutions thematically. So you can pick a different theme and say, okay, for each quarter, or you can pick a theme that runs for the month or something like that, and you make them general themes. So you can have a theme of creativity for the month of January, nature for February, health, connections. You can make travel one of the themes, and then you focus all your extra time and all your extracurricular activities to the fulfillment of that particular theme.
I like that.
So yes, so instead of giving yourself the pressure of saying, go to Tamale by X date or something, you can say, you know, have a travel theme, and you make it a bit more specific, which we'll go into a bit later, just in the next ones here. And then you're more likely to see that through and not feel pressured, or not feel like, oh, your whole list has gone to waste now because you couldn't make it to Tamale. When there are other things you could have done instead. So that's 1, develop a theme for your resolutions. And 2, another important one is have micro goals or micro resolutions. So again, instead of having vague or year-long resolutions that are much easier to like fall off from, you can have micro goals. So assuming, let's say you made health a theme, like from the first part, what you can do is start out by saying, you know, a lot of people just write lose weight. That is vague. It doesn't give you any specific, actionable items. And so you're there and you're like, oh gosh, I said, at the end of the year, you're like, God, I said I was going to lose weight. And here I am, fat as ever, stuffing my face with, fruit cake because it's Christmas or whatever. So if you have, for example, health as a theme or losing weight as a theme, you can make micro challenges for yourself. Like let's say I'm going to do 1 week of no sugar. Or let's say you've been telling yourself you want to eat healthier. You can say you're going to do a vegetarian challenge and make it doable. If you say you're going to go vegetarian the entire year, you're probably going to fall off, and then you're going to be discouraged, and then you're more likely to just throw this list away. So start small, make micro goals and resolutions, and you'll be more likely to achieve them, which will encourage you to continue going down your list of resolutions. So that's number 2. Number 3, hack for New Year's resolutions is create a mantra. So it's again similar to like have a theme. This is create a mantra. Instead of writing save more on your list of New Year's resolutions or spend less, something like that, what you can do instead is create a mantra to say back to yourself when the opportunity comes and you're in a situation where you're tempted to spend more or whatever. And you can say something like, if you have 2 of the thing, you don't need a third. Something like that. And for me, that would apply to like shoes and clothes. How many black dresses does one possibly need? For now, it's infinite, but like it literally could be 2 or 3. Or you just keep reminding yourself to buy only what you need. And you'll find most of our purchases are wants and not needs at all. And so you create a mantra for yourself that will carry you throughout the whole year. And that applies to the thing that you want to focus on by improving, etc., etc. Okay. So number 4, create a bucket list. Now, for this, you would have, people will write, I want to have more me time, or practice more self-care, something very general as you're on your New Year's resolution list. But what you can do instead is write a bucket list of all the things that you consider to be self-care, right? So you'd maybe travel is one. So you would say, you make a list of places you would like to visit. For some people, just getting more sleep is self-care. Or you write, pamper yourself, go to the spa, something like that. And a good thing to do would be to combine large and small things on there again. So you're motivated. So let's say, fine, you wanted to save up to go to Tamale or something. You didn't get the time. What else is on your bucket list? take a Saturday afternoon nap. A lot of people, that's a huge luxury
Yeah,
for them.
they don't have,
but it's self-care.
Yeah.
Do that one instead. So you're still crossing things off the list.
True.
If it's a day at the spa, you can take a couple of hours, go get your nails done. So you get to cross that off the list.
And that's an achievement.
Exactly.
So
it's
an
achievement.
Good.
So you're like, oh, I'm working, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I'm working down this list. So that's another tip. Make a bucket list instead of just making a general statement. Okay. And the last one is pick one thing to track. So again, it ties into the other points. Defining your goal, depending on what it is, you pick something about that goal that will allow you to measure and track it. And in doing so, you focus a lot more on it. You're more aware of what you're doing regarding that thing, and you're more likely to achieve that goal come the end of the year. So for example, if one of your themes or your health theme or your goal is weight loss, because a lot of people, it tends to pop up a lot, right? You can start a food log. And I've actually done this before. It wasn't necessarily for weight loss, but it was to see how many, I guess I was calorie counting at the time. And sometimes you're not really aware of, how much or how little or how you eat, when you eat, things like that. So when you write it out, you're actually more aware of, anytime you eat, you'll be more aware of what you're eating, how much of it you're eating, etc., etc. Or you can keep a weight journal if you're really going the whole 9 yards and doing the scale, and you keep a journal. Or for example, if one of your goals is to sleep more, and that's a huge problem, people just don't get enough sleep, keep a sleep journal. So you know when you slept, what times you go to bed, what times you wake up, if you take naps, and then you can see how much sleep am I actually getting. I definitely need more. Okay, make it a priority. So once you're conscious of it and you're writing, keeping track of things, you become more aware and you're more likely to pay attention and see these things through. So those are, again, just 5 tips for hacking your New Year's resolutions and making them more likely to be achievable. Come December 2020, we're not like, God, till the year's finished, I didn't go here, I didn't do this, I'm still fat, can't fit into the dress, all that. I still overspent now my Christmas money, all of that. So let's kick ass this year. I don't know, 2020. I like that number. It's nice and round, and it's an even number. I have a bit of OCD, so I don't like odd numbers. It's just a aesthetically beautiful number, 2020. So let's make it happen this year. And I guess we'll see you next week as well.
Yeah, we will.
All right, so that's it. All right, bye.